see if they're going to join us in the group.
Okay.
I told them when you showed up that I would tell them.
Okay. I love this because I can actually smoke my vape pen while we're doing this. So.
Yeah, actually, let me go grab a joint. Hold on. I mean, I live in a legal state now, so I'm not ashamed.
Oh yeah.
You know, I work
I know,
hard.
isn't it awesome?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh yeah, you live. Yeah, you're. How far are you away from me? Like
I'm in Spokane. I'm not very far from you.
I know. You're coming to my protest, aren't you, in October?
If I'm not working. What day is it?
I'm not sure exactly the time of day yet.
Are you going to be there?
Huh?
Are you going to be there?
Of course.
Well, if you're going to be there, then I'll try to take that day off somehow if I have to work. Yeah.
Well, you know it's going to be in Spokane.
I know. That's exciting.
So, yeah.
So it'll be the first protest I've actually went to because all the other stuff was, pussy hats and, let's hate Donald Trump. And that gets old,
Well, because it's not real. It's not genuine.
Exactly. Like, exactly.
I've been to so many women's marches and stuff because I go there in opposition, and they hate it. They hate me going there. There was one in Nashville that I went to, and I had my DNC fraud shirt on, and I had my bullhorn, and I had flyers like literally listing DNC crimes. And so, with the sources attached to it, and I would hand it out, and they would say, "Oh, that's as good as throwing it away." One lady said, "No thanks, I'm here to play." They go to these events to play. They don't go to stand up for anything, And
yeah, they're just deeply in denial.
So. Did I tell you I'm starting a new YouTube channel?
No, you didn't.
It's called, it's so perfect. It's called Voices of Dissent.
Awesome.
And because that's what I'm all about. The voices that are being censored right now are not just right wingers or left wingers. It's the voices that are anti-establishment, and that's what I'm all about. Is lifting up the voices of the revolution. And people say that's kind of corny, but that's I feel it in my heart and my soul. I feel
that's the only hope we have. I mean, when are people going to realize it? That's what we're going to talk about. I do want to talk about that. When are people going to realize it? Ruled by a small pack of elite parasites. I'd like to call them because they are parasites. Prey on children,
which is ironic because that's what people have called me before. Called me parasite.
No.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, after we're done with this.
Did I ever tell you what happened with that guy Charlie Mole? The DNC fraud? Okay. So it's kind of a long story, but it's kind of not. Okay. So my first DNC fraud protest was November 12th of 2017. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people knew me because I would make memes for the DNC fraud lawsuit. There was a few of them, and I would make memes out of the content of their lawsuit. Mm-hmm. Well, there was a friend that I had made, I guess a friend, more of an acquaintance, like a Facebook, friend. And he was associated with one of the lawsuits. He was working he was working for the lawyers that were doing it, so he wasn't the one bringing the lawsuit, but he was helping promote it and stuff for the media. So anyway, he contacted me and he's like, do you think you could help me make a graphic for our banner? And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that for your event. And I did it. And so this guy was in contact with Charlie Mole and gave Charlie Mole, who is a BBC UK journalist, and I guess filmographer or whatever he calls himself. But so he contacted me through this guy, and I was like, okay, people warn me BBC UK is like the CNN of, the United Kingdom. So they're like, you got to watch out for that. And I was like, okay. But then I weighed the options, and I was like, we would really need another platform. If they're willing to record our protest, because that's what he wanted. He wanted to record our protest. And he told me that he said he was doing a documentary on Seth Rich, and he said he wanted to tell the real story of what happened, and he said that the video was going to be called "Murder in Washington." Seth Rich story or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He said nothing about what the actual video was called, which was originally called Conspiracy Files, and he didn't tell me that.
Oh yeah.
It had another name on there. It had Murder of Seth Rich on there. He didn't, and it said that he wanted to explain the true story of Seth Rich. So then I watched the video when it came out, and it was like an hour-long documentary pushing the Russiagate narrative. He attended this protest. We invited him to come and film us. So we put ourselves at risk having him do this. And I told him, if you were to lie, we're going to call you out on it. So I watched this video, and the first 20 minutes were somewhat accurate, but not really saying any. I mean, I literally gave this guy a binder filled with DNC crimes, and specifically an entire chapter dedicated to everything that I knew about Seth Rich's murder. And this is stuff that I would bet my reputation on, like I don't put out information that I can't back up. So this was a big deal that he was going to report about this. And he had the information. I mean, this is, all this information is public now. So there's no reason that even if he didn't look at the information I gave him, there's no reason that he couldn't have produced something, honest.
Yep. Yeah, that's, it doesn't surprise me, though, because these are paid shills, so.
They are. And
they're all over the world.
They'll say and do and report anything so they can be on the front cover,
Yep.
And they don't want to injure their career, so they keep producing crap.
Yep.
Anyway, he produced this documentary that was entirely Russiagating the entire time. And then at the very end, he didn't show any of our protests. He was there for hours, and he showed like 25-second clip of the protest. And then immediatally after the clip from the protest, then he showed a former DNC staffer calling us parasites.
Yeah.
Saying that we were trying to profit off a man's death.
No, of course.
And I had to find his number because he was out of the country.
Right.
I found his number and I called the bitch up. And it took me a few times to get a hold of him, but I did, and I told him that I didn't appreciate his Russiagate documentary and his lies, and called him out on it. And he told me to email him about this, and I said, I actually have already emailed you, and the email that you originally messaged me on has been deleted. So I can't message you, and you would know that because you deleted your account. And then he hung up on me. Yeah. So and I had this conversation done on a live stream, like on Facebook, so people could see it live. Just see me confronting him live, And
I didn't ever see that.
Well, my account was deleted, so it's gone. Because you don't get a warning before they delete you,
Right.
You don't get a, hey, you forgot to save your last video.
Right.
And then there was when I confronted Nina Turner. I published a footage of the protest and, after the protest of like debriefing what happened, and then posted the footage of confronting her like physically and handing her proof of DNC fraud, which she denied and kicked me out of the building.
Of course.
And then we, I was with my friend Nancy. She was there protesting with me. It was just two of us. And, we drove an hour and a half. She drove several hours to be there.
Right.
And speak to her. We had like a list of questions, and it was very well thought out. We did not go there rude, like we had our DNC fraud shirts on, and we had a clipboard, and I had a backpack because I had a lot of other equipment with me, because I know that when I go to a protest that at least 1 or 2 devices is not going to work. So I always have like, I had my voice recorder, I had my actual digital camera, I had my cell phone, because ironically, while I was trying to live stream, not only would it not let me live stream from my phone, which I tried to do because, I like people to see what I'm doing, as it's happening.
Yeah.
So I can't rely on Facebook, obviously, for that, because, that's not allowed. You're not allowed to protest on Facebook. It just never works out. But I actually noticed that my camera would not let me record either on my phone. Like, that's strange. I wondered if they like had some type of device at their event so that people couldn't get footage of her, maybe.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past them, because these people do not like to be on camera.
Right.
I think that was a big reason why she kicked me out, was because she didn't want those questions to be answered on camera.
Yeah, exactly.
They only like the footage of them being taken if it's their own filmographers,
Right, if they can control the narrative, yes. Yes.
So then she kicked me out, and then she rethought it. Like, we were heading down the stairs, people like escorting us out, and she goes, come back. And so I say, oh, okay, she's changed her mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I hand it to her, and she glances at it maybe half a second, rolls it up, and says repeatedly, that's not true. That's not true. And I was like, it is true. And, and I thought, if somebody came up to you and said the organization you're participating in was created by Hillary Clinton, would you not say, show me your proof?
Yeah.
Why would someone give you that information and you would roll it up? That doesn't, roll up the paper. Like, she didn't even want to look at it.
Right. In denial, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what her base is doing right now, too. Her base is in denial. Her base is pretending that she's not a Hillary Clinton supporter, and she is. I mean, I believe she was trained by Hillary Clinton. And these people know that there is no voice louder than Hillary Clinton within the DNC and her investors.
Right.
There is no real representation. They're like these robots, and they're on a track, and they can't get off. Yeah. And they're trying to keep as many people on the track as they can.
Yeah. I know. And, just like voting this year, I'm not even doing it because, I know I'm a former delegate, and I, was in Washington State. Well, I still am, but I was a former Bernie delegate from Washington State. And even though people voted for me to be, able to speak at the state level, I wasn't allowed to, and they blamed it on the Bernie campaign. And then when I called the Bernie campaign, of course, there was no answer. And I just never could get a hold of anyone. So at that point, I knew that something wasn't right, So I wrote an article about it and everything, and it just kind of went hush-hush. I signed up to be part of the DNC lawsuit, but I don't know, what's going on. I only contributed, I think, like $50 to $100 to Bernie, which isn't much. But I did a lot of, I have a master's in new media.
I'm sure you campaigned.
Well, no, I didn't do the campaign. I did the.
No, I mean, I'm sure you promoted him, like, on your social media and to your friends.
My husband, me and my husband stood, for hours to go see him when he came to Spokane, and we really believed in him. We really believed that, we actually had this generation's FDR. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, you know what? If this guy's legitimate, he would really call her out, and he's not. And people can say, oh, he was threatened, he was intimidated, whatever. If you believe in something, just like they've been saying lately, if you believe in something, you'll sacrifice everything, even in your own life. So was he just a total, I don't think he's innocent. I think he knows, but, I just can't say because I don't know Bernie personally.
Pushing that narrative on people is basically saying that Bernie's being held captive, so everybody in the country needs to be held captive too.
Exactly.
And that's unacceptable to me.
It is unacceptable.
Yeah. I'm a free-thinking person. I'm not an unintelligent person. I'm not super brilliant, I'm probably about as average as it gets. But you know what? I'm a free thinker, and I don't support corruption, and Bernie does.
Right.
And that's the reality of it. And when I supported him in 16, I was wrong.
I know.
And I was misinformed and uneducated.
Me too.
And people are dying. People are dying that expose the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And they're, you know, I mean, in the DNC fraud lawsuit, the one from Florida from the Becks, two witnesses. It has been confirmed 2 witnesses in that lawsuit have been killed.
Yeah.
Now, Seth Rich, they're saying that it was a botched robbery, which we all know that was just not true. You know, nothing that anybody, especially the police or FBI or government, has provided to us that proves that it was a botched robbery in any way. You know, and there's just, I mean, and then did you know about the CrowdStrike and the money trail? There's a money trail that's connected to the deaths of both Seth Rich and Sean Lucas. I think it's, I don't remember if it's a day before or a day after their deaths, but CrowdStrike got a payment from the DNC that coordinates with both their deaths.
Right. And then who took over their positions after they were gone?
I'm not sure.
Isn't that an interesting thing to think about?
I know that his roommate also worked, Seth Rich's roommate also worked for the Hillary campaign or some organization, you know, helping Hillary. I'm not for sure off the top of my head, but I know that he was like Hillary for America or something like that. And he's, I think it was said somewhere that he didn't know that Seth Rich worked for him too. And that just doesn't make sense. Like,
no,
you would know what your roommate does, you know?
Right. Well, I suspected fraud within the Bernie campaign when I was an active, you know, participant, you know, and even a delegate. Because I would go and down to the headquarters, the local headquarters, you know, where they had all the merchandise and all that other stuff. And it seemed like the addresses they gave us to talk to voters, a lot of them were, you know, bad addresses and stuff like that, and just a lot of bad information. So I wonder if that was done on purpose. And I've actually unfriended a lot of the actual campaign members because suspected
I just feel like
I wonder if
it's blatant now that within the Bernie campaign, there were people that were not really for Bernie. They were for Hillary.
Right. Moles.
Yeah.
Moles. Yeah. And
the reason they're still hidden right now is because they were there on purpose, and they are very good at what they do, and they're very manipulating, and they're very good at muddying the waters. And that's, you know, a term directly from their own campaign strategy. To muddy the waters around ethics and transparency of their own damn party, because all they can do is point the finger at everybody else in the entire fucking world and confuse people and put out so many fake narratives because their entire party runs the show. They run the narrative, and there's no more denying it. You know, I'm not denying it anymore because I feel like the DNC is the larger evil. And I'm not saying
the RNC.
I don't support the RNC, and I know that if they truly are as corrupt as the DNC is, and that, you know, once we get the information that proves it, then we can go after the RNC. We can't really go after them.
Well, I can tell you
the information.
I can tell you from personal observation, I had a job where I was privy to some information that most people aren't privy to. And both organizations, the RNC and the DNC, and all their other organizations under that umbrella, are funded by the same banks.
Oh, they're all crooked.
Yep. And all funded by the same banks. The same banks. Capital One, U.S. Bank. And I swore that I would never tell anyone, but I don't care. You know, people need to know. People need to be aware of it. They're all funded by U.S. Bank, Capital One, Citibank, and Bank of America. I've seen the checks. That's all I got to say. I've seen them.
Yeah, I mean, each of us have seen at least one thing or another, some more than others. But I think what's most important is that we all speak up. Like when we see something wrong, we speak up. Whether you have, private intel on something or whether you just learn something from reading, like I probably spent hundreds of hours coming Podesta emails when they came out. Ooh, that was my bread and butter. I went through that and made a meme out of each specific email. I mean, this stuff, and they've admitted several times in several different ways by several different people that the emails are real.
I know.
They've even apologized for it. They apologized for it, and one was like, and that mayor, what's her name? Let me look her up.
And by the way, this fucking Pizzagate shit, this really pisses me off because I got all these people saying, oh, you need to be quiet about that. You don't know about that. You know what? I have seen enough proof.
Because they're trying to protect themselves.
I know.
And they know it's real. They do that by proxy. They don't come at you themselves. They get other people, other like nameless
brainwashed supporters.
And they get, other Democratic people to
vote blue no matter who.
Democratic media or there's a specific media that I tell people to be a Democrat right now is to be anti-truth, and
to be a part of a herd mentality.
Yeah,
you like a Trump supporter.
You have to believe at least one lie to be a Democrat. You can't. There's no rational way to support the Democratic Party. So my thing is, my goal, my idea to stop them is that we need to unite outside the system. We need to show people that we're willing to dedicate our time and our money, our own personal life to stand up to the Democratic Party, and whether that means that doing these live streams like you and me are doing, or showing people that what they're being shown on TV is not true.
Right. And not just the Democratic Party, the whole damn government, all the way up to the president. You know what I mean? Like and even the Green Party. I think the Green Party's a fraud, and I'll say it. And I think the Libertarian Party was a fraud too, because it seems like they only pick these certain candidates that never get very high numbers, no matter what. Gary Johnson was very popular. Did he even get a chance to even be in the,
personally, I think that if you say, hey, vote for this, vote for Green Party, like, I understand that the Green Party, to me, is what I would call the lesser evil.
Right.
Out of all the options, because Green Party, I get that they're anti-war, but the thing is, I'll vote for Green Party, and say we get a Green president, say we get Jill Stein, okay? That only pretends that we have a voice in our government. So that's why I'm kind of glad that Bernie didn't win, because then people would have gone back to sleep. They would have been comfortable, and they would have feel represented. They would have feel like they have a chance, to save America. Well, the America that our current path we're on is not a good path.
Right. And you can't save people who don't want to save themselves. We've got to save ourselves from our own government. That is what is in the Constitution. It actually says in the Constitution that you have a right to, rise up against a tyrannical government. Yeah. Well, if this isn't tyrannical, I don't know what is.
Exactly. And there will be Democrats that shame me, for not supporting their narrative, for not supporting their progressive candidate. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I have the right to oppose terrorism. And the DNC supports terrorism. The DNC causes terror. The DNC, I'm going to say it, I feel like the DNC, they will kill people to protect themselves. And
yes.
And I don't really give a damn. Who cares if, about that? People are dropping dead that oppose the Democratic Party. So, I get people that tell me that, the DNC is not scared of you. And I'm like, bitch, they're going to be. One day they're going to be scared, because we're going to have a large amount of peaceful protesters, and that is going to eventually be intimidating, I want them to have 0 voters in their voting booth.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I want people to look at each other and say, how are they being funded if they have 0 constituents?
Right. That would be nice.
And if that's what it takes, then fine. Because I've seen the evidence. I've done the work. I know what horrible crimes that they have committed or, participated in. I know the people that is in their circle. It's not good people.
And it's not just Democrats. Remember that. There's Republicans that act like they're Republicans, but they're really Democrats. They're really on the side of the corporate elite Democrats. So we're talking about the corporate elite portion of the government, which pretty much 70% are, millionaires or something like that, or over 250,000 a year. They can't really be in touch with the normal, population. I mean, and people don't seem to get that through their thick heads. And it looks like every candidate that actually gets TV time always has a lot of money if you look at it.
Yeah. Oh, this is still in the works, but I might actually, memenews might be partnering and have a TV show segment on Pluto TV. So I'm really excited. Yeah.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting.
So when I find out a little more, I'll give you some more info, but I'm really excited about it because I've been working for doing this memenews now for almost 3 years. Jeez. And it has completely changed my life. And I feel like I'm finally doing something that helps other people, like just simply making like memes out of their content and then, putting them on Twitter, putting them on Gab, I try and tell people they need to be on every platform that you can possibly physically do. Because, I get up in the morning and me, I'll do rotations of content. I'll put out stuff on Twitter, on MeWe, on Facebook, and I'll just do that periodically through the day because you have to earn your credibility, you have to earn, you have to show people that you're willing to put in the effort to build your audience, to push out good information. So that's what I want to encourage.
And I would like to talk to you about the recent Nike thing. Do you agree that that was just a distraction from the Catholic Church's findings here recently, and the fact that now New York is in on this lawsuit? The Catholic Church is going to go bankrupt, and people don't want to come to the terms with that fact.
Okay, I absolutely believe that the establishment and corporations put money and give money to celebrities to push a movement that is completely made up and that only enables arguments. I feel like the reason the DNC fraud protest is respected is because people see that we're coming from a genuine effort and that I've literally dedicated my life. I've just sworn, to everybody that I will not quit. The DNC fraud protest, if we're going down a wrong path to get what we want, which is to shut down the DNC, then we'll change our path, but we will not stop. So say when Bernie said, I'll fight Clinton, and then he stopped, that's exactly the opposite of what I'm going to do. And I've declared that to people. I've told them that we know they have to be shut down. There is you don't reform terrorism,
Right.
And so I feel like we just have to be confident that the information that we've learned is enough to eventually get through to people if we find a way to make them understand it. And I have faith that in time they will.
Right.
But it will definitely take time. It'll take effort every single day. And I feel like Colin Kaepernick does not do that with his message. And, I think that's why people don't trust him because, it's a pretty well-known fact right now that celebrities don't really give a damn about genuine issues. I cleaned it.
Hold on. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
My daughter just brought a feather in the house that I do not want in here. Out. Out. Keep it outside. Sorry about that. But anyways, and I agree with you about the Colin Kaepernick scandal, but think about the timing of these things, Mac Miller dying.
Yes. But the thing is, somebody is being exposed every day. That's just the reality of it, because there's a lot more people speaking out, so there's a lot more people to document it.
Yeah.
So this is something that we're going to see a lot more of. And even if that sounds kind of crazy because it's already so much of it, but it's going to get worse. Like what's that old the psychology experiment where like they lock people in a building for a certain amount of days, and they have one section that's the prisoners and one section that's the guards, and then over time the guards abuse their power and they get more violent and more violent, and then the prisoners go more crazy and more crazy. I forget what it's called, but that's kind of what is happening right now. Like it's going to get more extreme.
Right. Yeah.
And we're going to have to get more, dominant with our protests. Like me and Deb Della Piana, where we were talking about, getting more bold. Like maybe going to holding up an airport one day, like in the lobby, like they did with the immigration protest. If they can do it, then we can.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those people were there, and they were not being poorly treated by the police. They weren't.
Right.
And I saw that on camera. So if they can do it, why can't we?
Well, and you know what? I don't understand why people don't ever think to themselves about this fact, too. All the things that are big in the media that people pay attention to are always about racism, sexism, blah, blah, blah. Stuff that does not, non-paying rights. Identity politics equals non-paying rights. Why aren't they out there talking about the people that are freaking homeless, all the youth that are homeless, all the wages, people's low wages compared to their rent? No, let's talk about race and sex. Why doesn't anyone think that? Why isn't that logical to people? Yeah. There's something wrong with that.
Well, I mean, the people controlling the media and the people controlling the narrative are extremely manipulative. It's not like, it's not easy for everybody to see that they're being manipulated.
I know. What's that saying? It's a lot easier.
To convince somebody that they're being manipulated is to convince somebody that what they're doing is wrong. And people at their core don't understand that concept.
Right.
They could be wrong.
Right. Right.
And
exactly.
And you remedy that by connecting with them despite them not wanting to connect with you. I talk to a lot of Hillary supporters and a lot of Bernie supporters, and I'm trying to be more understanding lately because I know that they're severely, I feel like they're severely sick. They're sick in the mind. And I know that that's, kind of harsh thing to say, but I could probably say a lot of things worse because these people are not always kind. They're not always understanding. In fact, they're less understanding than the average bear, you know what I mean? But I feel like the information is valid that I have. And I feel like to act impulsively or to act immature or unprofessionally to these people, it shows maybe a fear that and a lack of confidence in my own work and my own research. So I realized that I have to, I have to give myself more rest, and I have to compose myself and not respond to everybody because these master manipulators, they're everywhere. They're in your timeline no matter what. And that just goes along with being held accountable, and that's okay. But there's going to be people that are going to say, hey, you're a liar, or hey, Sarah's a fraud, or there's people that have harassed me. There's somebody that he told me that I needed to set myself on fire.
Yeah.
It killed
and you got to deal with, extremist organizations such as Antifa, which, is a Soros-funded operation anyways.
Absolutely.
And why don't people realize about these Soros-funded operations? I mean, all you got to do is look at the investors and the donors of all these organizations that claim to be anti-fascist, but attack people for what they believe. How is that not, something that people can put together and say, hey, wait a minute. Anti-fascist means to not attack people for what they believe, but these people are attacking people for what they believe.
Exactly. And that goes, they go hand in hand with the party. They are, an arm
Fascist.
of the DNC. They are the reason they, go so hand in hand with the Democratic Party is because they are the Democratic Party, like
Right.
they are the epitome of what they would be in the form of another group. Like, you can tell the AstroTurf organizations, you can tell they filter down from the evil that is the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
And the RNC is evil too, don't get me wrong.
Right. Oh, yeah.
My issue is, and people say, oh, well, they'll comment on the DNC fraud page on Facebook or wherever, on Twitter, and they'll say, well, why aren't you protesting the RNC? I don't see you ever going out and protesting the RNC. I say, okay, hold up. I'm like, so are you protesting the RNC? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, so you support corruption. You support the Democratic Party, correct? And they're like, well, I support the Democratic Party. I'm like, okay, so you support corruption. And then they'll say, oh, well, who's better? Name someone better. I say, I'm sorry. Do you feel like I owe you somebody? Do you feel that I owe you something just so you'll stop supporting corruption? And I'm like, we're working on two different goals. The people that support the Democratic Party, like the progressives, they are reforming corruption. My goal is to not support corruption in any form and use my own time and money to stand up to the corruption and fix it surrounding a direct movement, a real grassroots movement to say, hey, wait a minute, this system's so corrupt. And then another benefit of the DNC fraud protest is that once we get the numbers to confront the Democratic Party and shut them down, like legitimately, peacefully as possible, and we shut them down by educating people, and we could do the same thing for the RNC,
Yeah.
the same strategy, whatever works. Let's do one party, whatever works. Then we do the same thing for the RNC, or maybe once by that time we have enough people where we could have so many other ideas,
Right. Well, and let's face it, in other countries, there's more than like 3 political parties or 4 political parties.
Yeah.
We have 2 main ones that get all the funding. But here's the problem with that right there. And I've seen the proof. Citizens United.
Yeah.
Big problem, because the corporations pay the politicians pay the corporations, and it's, hand in hand. The hands stay right within the cookie jar and no one else, you know what I mean? And that's because corporations have so much more money than citizens that their voices are now louder than our voices.
Yeah.
And that is a big issue, because that's a titan. And I don't know how you're supposed to go after, that structure to get that to stop. The Citizens United, they did do it successfully, I thought, here in Washington, didn't they?
I'm not sure.
I believe they did repeal it here in Washington. So, and I have no problem with somebody getting, having a corporation and getting profits. But when other people are being poisoned or, manipulated or such and such because your business has to be successful, then you're not a successful business. Just like Walmart. If you have to pay, if your employees have to resort to government assistance working for your massive corporation, then you're not really a successful corporation. Call yourself that if you want, but a truly successful corporation would contribute to the success of not just the corporation, but all of the community involved, including their employees, right?
Yeah.
So
I always recommend to people that we need to pull ourselves away from this system as much as possible. So, try and grow your own vegetables, or buy used clothing, or buy garage sales. Try and not buy things impulsively, which, is almost impossible in this, culture. But if you know what you're looking
consumer
for,
driven,
you know what you're looking for. Like 3 years ago, I would have watched a show called, have you seen this show called Disjointed?
No, I don't. I haven't watched TV in like 3 years. Sarah.
Yeah. Well, I don't really watch TV anymore. I have like
Too loud.
That's it. I got rid of Netflix. I got rid of Amazon, but I have Hulu because I love my America's Got Talent. I love watching the talent.
See, I still need to get rid of Netflix. You
got to.
I know.
They posted child porn, Sarah.
I know.
They think they have a deal with Obama. I mean, it really can't get worse than that.
I know. And I plan on getting rid of it. It's just, it's hard because.
But when you do, take a photo or screen cap of it and show people and encourage them to do it too, so it'll like pass it on a little bit further. When you do, I know that it's not easy to tell someone what to do, but I don't regret it a damn bit.
Right. Yeah, I know. There's a horrible underground culture that exists that everyday Americans just unfortunately are in denial of or unaware of, and they really need to make themselves aware of it because this culture now poses a threat to the future of their children. The kidnappings are increasing and everything else, and I know a lot of people aren't comfortable.
Why massively children are being abused in churches all over the world.
Yeah,
they're being
not just churches.
Trafficked. I mean, anything that the U.S. can make money on trafficking, they're doing it, and they're doing it right in front of our eyes, and the media is not reporting it. So I don't understand what these people think that who's going to report it if the media doesn't. The
organs
not going to report it because they're the ones doing it. Massively,
right.
So.
And the human organs, that's a massive market. That's like a 73. I mean,
I can only imagine what horrifying private deals that they have with Planned Parenthood. I know that in the Podesta emails they have talked about using Planned Parenthood to promote their campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that they would give out voting registration at Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
And so they work hand in hand. If they're willing to do that for a party that's extremely corrupt, what else are they going to do, for them?
Right. Well, I'm all about a woman's right to choose, to tell you.
Me too. I am too.
Yeah. But I think once a child is born, they have a right to not be abused and molested and sold, and eventually their organs are sold. That's the end goal, is to sell the organs. The organs are worth a lot. I forget how much, but they're worth a lot. And that's unfortunate that we have become that sick of a society that we're basically organ trafficking now. Wasn't there a movie about that? Remember that movie?
I want to say I do, but I can't think of the name.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. I mean, once you read emails like the one about the handkerchief and the pizza references and the hot dog references and stuff, and you realize that all these celebrities that are promoting them have the same rhetoric and the same love for blood and images of blood and images of children. And when you post images like that Asiago, what's her name,
Asia Asiago.
Yeah. I don't believe she was genuine, and I kind of had strange feelings about her Instagram images, but images are one thing,
Right.
People can have a dark mind. I understand that, and I know that that's not indefinite proof of something.
Right.
But it's to the point where they're having us gaslighting us and telling us that it's nothing when we see a pattern, and to believe that narrative is anti-truth.
It is.
So I can't.
It is. It's just like Nazi Germany. It's just like Nazi Germany.
And the celebrities, they go around in their fancy clothes and cars and promote these people and stuff, and they want to pretend like everything's fine, and everything is not fine. We are not safe. These people running our government are not honest. They're not even good people.
They're very dangerous. I wish people realize that.
And money is power, and power is corrupt.
Yes.
And they've been not held accountable for far too long. And so we're having to backtrack a lot. We're having to, confront a lot of corruption, and that takes time to document it. And I think that's just the goal right now, is to just continue documenting it. And so, with my new YouTube channel, I'm going to try and encourage people to share their voices of dissent. And I'm going to try and show people that you don't have to be pro-government to be progressive. You know what I mean? You don't have to be pro-establishment to be a good person.
Yes.
Got to break that narrative.
Yeah, I agree. Well, you know what? This has been a great show. I want to do this once a week.
For sure. You can be on my show anytime that you need. Yeah.
Well, and it feels good because you know that some people are going to be uncomfortable listening to some of the stuff we've talked about.
I hope they are.
But they really, I
hope it makes them uncomfortable enough to go to Google and look up Pedogate, Pizzagate. And there is a lot of misinformation out there, but they do that on purpose. So think for yourself. People may not understand it at first. It may take them a year, 2 years to fully understand what's going on. I tell people the biggest thing to think about of the Podesta emails and the Clinton emails and of WikiLeaks is see how these people work. See how they operate, see who they work with, see what they need to survive, and go after that.
Right. It looks like someone just joined us. Alex
just joined. Hold on. Hey, Alex, are
Hello.
you here?
Yes, I am.
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Not much. I apologize for my tardiness.
No, it's okay. We had a really good discussion. I'm feeling so confident about this new YouTube channel I'm going to start. Like, I was a bit nervous, but I was like, I could do this. I was like, me and Sarah have been talking for a while. I was like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Well, definitely. I mean,
Sarah,
I know that
you're going to meet Alex in October because he's coming up here. He's flying here from New Jersey to protest. So you'll see him. He's my right-hand guy. Like, he is. I could not do this without him.
Awesome. It's always good to have somebody,
Though I do know I make her want to pull her hair out every so often.
Oh, yeah.
But I do the same. I have the same reaction. People have the same reaction to me sometimes. So it's give and take.
Yeah, exactly.
And Alex,
100% of the time,
Alex, my name is Sarah Stevens. I'm a former Bernie delegate. I saw, the corruption firsthand in several different industries. Her and I have been talking about, how the Democratic Party and even the RNC, they all put out this, false narrative and try to get people distracted from the really important stuff. And so we had a really good conversation about that. But I have got to go now. So why don't you guys continue?
I wanted to suggest that you could make a video of your personal testimony of around the time of the primaries, being your Bernie supporter and delegate. It would be really good if we put that video on the DNC fraud website, and then maybe you could, if you knew any other delegates too, and we could start uploading those videos.
Well, did you read the story? I would rather share my information through that story because, I'm not trying to make any enemies. I absolutely love it where I am. So I'm not trying to make any enemies. And, the whole Bernie thing, there people was very, I'd rather if you could talk about the story, you know what I mean? Because I don't really want to make a video about it. If that's okay, just
no, it's okay.
I mean, I can totally understand.
Coming on here and talk with me today. It was good.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be a chicken shit or anything.
No, it's okay.
It's just
someone to say something that they weren't comfortable doing. It took me a long time to even be comfortable talking on a chat.
Right. I'm more comfortable talking about the bigger issues than the local, because we're not, Spokane, we don't have any kind of political power anyways. I can tell you that right now.
But that's important. That's important for people to know that. Like they think that you could make great change going local, you know, and I'm like, they don't have any power. There is no voice. That voice is not real, you know.
Yeah,
It's
and even the green.
There's normally a crony, like a talking head that really does a lot of the things.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and you know, there's just a couple big, you know, usually big families or whatever that have all the political power in every community, you know. But I mean, where I'm at right now, I love it. But I'm not part of the city or anything. I live in one of the little college towns outside of the city. So, you know, I'm really happy there. You know what I mean?
And it's so beautiful too. Oh my gosh.
It is, isn't it?
This state
Oh
is
my
a
God.
beautiful state.
I know.
Sounds
And
like I
I'm
have something to
from
look forward to.
Yeah,
I'm from West Virginia. Sarah, I'm from West Virginia. So you've been through West Virginia, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you're from where are you from
Tennessee.
again?
I'm from Tennessee, so
Tennessee.
there was nothing. It was just flat plains. And
Yeah.
here the hills are just like something from what's it called? Sound of Music.
I know. I love it out here. I feel fortunate to even be out here, you know. And it is a great state, you know. Washington is a great state. I love it. You know.
We almost moved to Washington, D.C., and I'm glad we didn't, because I think my protesting would have got serious quick if I lived in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would have been a good idea.
I need to do a slow ascent, you know, up rather than.
Right. That's a very dangerous place anyways. It really is. People think it's not, but it really is. You know, it's one of the most crime-filled places in the, you know, whole country.
And
so,
I think, you know, honestly, I think the main reason why there's so much danger there, I think it's primarily because of our government, you know, focusing.
Yeah, the corrupt officials.
It's the government that's making that a dangerous area.
Yeah, exactly.
Statistically, that makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of happenings with the Shadow Civil War currently going on with the old guard and the new guard.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of like, you have a lot of the former administration that are still kind of clinging to power. They don't want to leave. And then this new group of people who are trying to, you know, have some semblance of an administration can't do it because they're constantly being subverted, you know, through intelligence, through the old DOJ, through all these other facets of that former government.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, and the MSM, of course.
Right. So do you think that, you know, and why don't people ever think, you know, Donald Trump, I don't know much about the guy, but he was an actor at one time. And so why can't people realize that, you know, maybe this is all an act? Hey.
Well, I think that there's a lot of things that he's done that are different than what, say, Bernie would have done, or you know, anyone really. I think what he's doing is not always good, and I you know, Alex knows I'll call Trump out on things I don't like. My thing is it's like complaining about Donald Trump right now. It's like complaining about a toothache when someone's cutting off your leg, you know, like, it seems to me ridiculous to go after somebody that's only been, you know, in the corrupt political system for a little while, as opposed to people who have been running rampant for decades. We need to go after the people that have been running rampant for decades, you know?
Right. And he used to be a Democrat.
To continue with the narrative that is being led by the Democratic Party. They're, you know, pointing the finger at the only people really not responsible for the DNC corruption.
Right.
At Trump is not going to make the DNC less corrupt.
Now, I did like what he said to Apple. How did you guys feel about what he said to Apple? I think that was pretty balls of him, actually. I'm sorry to say, but I really liked what he said to Apple. I agree with it.
What are you talking about?
Well,
he knows what I'm talking about.
Know, but I don't know. I can't think of it.
Refresh my memory. I remember him talking about
It
Apple,
was a
but I
tweet
forgot
the
exactly
other day.
what it
He said something about imposing the higher tariffs on China or whatever are going to.
Oh, yeah. They were going to impose higher tariffs on them because they're using the slave labor.
Right. I loved it,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
that makes perfect sense.
And that deserves.
They should start bringing the production back into Cali and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He even mentioned tax incentives for companies that come back to the United States and create jobs. That's cool. That's
And
what we need.
I really liked that he said
That's actually
the way to handle fake news is not to censor it, but to battle it, to challenge it, to let everybody speak. And I agree with that.
Well,
so I'm not going to let the DNC gaslight me into disapproving of Trump when he does good things or says good things.
Right.
Because that's helping us. So the DNC is telling us to work against our best, interests. And they do that because they're corrupt and, they have no other option but to continue lying. I mean.
There's a good. Speaking of the DNC, I mean, they're running out of money. I mean, I think they're actually broke. They're actually right now only relying on their PACs at this point.
Yes.
But there is a good. I've been hearing reports that there might be a chance that California might be flipping red.
And I'm not afraid. People are saying, "Oh, you're going to help the Democratic, or you're going to help the RNC if and the GOP if you don't support the Democratic Party." I'm like, well, tough shit, because the obviously. People are not ready to leave the system entirely, and the next valid option in their mind is the GOP. It seems to me counterproductive to really worry about that right now when we have a full force going towards the DNC. We're charging the DNC right now, and we're gaining people, we're gaining momentum, we're gaining an audience, we're getting organized, and to worry about another party right now, it just seems ridiculous. What's going to happen, and whether we like it or not, people are feeling represented by Donald Trump, and if they're feeling represented, and until we can say, professionally and organized in an organized way, what's wrong with Trump, and convince people not to trust Trump for his own actions and document it like we're doing with the DNC. Unless people can do that, there's no need to stress right now. Like people are going to.
One thing I'm really.
Go ahead.
One thing I'm really happy about the DNC, our protest about this, is that, I mean, the DNC is the only party that has actually had members of Congress advocate for violence or advocate for the ousting of current members of Congress. I mean, you've seen Maxine Waters, Cory Booker, Elizabeth Warren, all talking about how they wanted people to now attack.
Promotes Antifa.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, there has been a lot of connections between them actually being the paramilitary branch of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I don't approve of any violent organization or any violence.
I think if we were to. If we were to instigate that type of violence, that the leaders in the DNC and the Congress that they incite, if we did that, we would be held accountable in the court of law to the fullest extent, and they would do that so they would be able to stop us and delegitimize us. So we have to, there is a double standard. They can say what they want until we rise up peacefully and say this is not going to fly anymore. Like you're not credible.
I totally agree with you.
And, so that's why I'm not afraid of the GOP being popular right now. I don't think that's best for us in the sense of starting a real revolution against both parties, because I feel like Trump gives people pride in their own government, and I think that's just his base, and I feel like he panders to them a bit, but that's the least of our worries. But I feel like we need to start moving towards an anti-government point of view to save ourselves. I feel like the system needs to die.
Can I actually put a viewpoint of being a pro-Trump person?
Yes. Duh.
Well, the one thing that the reason why I'm so pro-Trump with him, first of all, he's not a typical politician. The things that he says, most of the time he does deliver on it. He was talking about a while ago about the DP. They're like, we're going to have 4.1% GDP. What happens? We have that. We're bringing back tariffs on. We're redoing the deals that have been destructive on the economy. I mean, he got rid of NAFTA, the most destructive free trade agreement we've had in the last 20 years. And they're redoing it so that they're not dealing with the tariffs in Canada where they were tariffing our dairy products 300%.
And one thing I've noticed, the difference between him and say anybody on the Democratic Party, the difference between him and them is that he's actually been very accurate calling out the crimes of the Democratic Party. Like
exactly.
Like the Green Party, they really don't call out the crimes at all.
No,
none of their candidates do. Maybe what's his name? What's his name?
Ojama Baraka?
Yeah.
John Baraka?
Yeah.
He calls it out sometimes, but he's somewhat vague about it, and I feel like
he does it, but
nobody's really called out the crimes as specifically as Trump has. So I, think
he's also
that means something.
Well, I also kind of happy because he's calling out Silicon Valley, which Silicon Valley we definitely know has a much more of a leftist bias. And you'll see conservative voices and congressmen who are dealing with shadow banning. And, that's, we're in a free society and, the First Amendment. What's that?
And he calls out the censorship accurately. I mean, it comes down to
right now, I know that they're
manipulating their base, and that base is manipulating other people and other citizens to do the bidding of their corrupt party. And I think a lot of it is ego, which is a normal human, reaction. People don't like finding out they're wrong, and they would rather believe a false narrative than have to think about it critically. But that's because they were taught not to think critically. The best thing people can do right now is take their children out of schools and educate them at home.
Exactly. And I'm actually, the one thing that we need to do, and I know we want to go completely completely stateless. The first thing we need to do is we need to roll back from a crony system that we have into at least a limited constitutional republic. We need to roll back to that, and then it will be a much easier transition from a constitutionalist society into a stateless society than going from 0 to 100.
Yeah,
it would be incremental. It wouldn't be okay, DC's gone, everybody go ahead and do your thing, because most people would be completely unprepared, and frankly, I think they would be very destructive.
Okay, well, as an independent, I don't have faith in any government official. None. Not even the president of the United States. Not even a prime minister.
The president doesn't have any power. I feel like president's just a showman, a figure.
But I appreciate your view, and I don't want to censor you. I want you to have a voice. We're talking about how people, are, trying to control the narrative so other sides don't have a voice. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that you have faith in our president. Some people do have faith in our president. But because I have not seen any actual progress in the past however many years, real progress that makes people, more successful and makes our society more productive. Yeah. We have more homeless than we ever have. I mean, it's just, I don't see where anything's being, proved upon. And so therefore I can't have any faith in any government official until they take action and actually, improve things. And that's going to take all of us.
Yeah.
Not just the government officials.
I'm actually not an affiliated voter.
Telling people to speak up, showing them how to speak up by doing it ourselves. I tell people, become a leader and you will create leaders. And so that's kind of what I want to do with Meme News is create other people who want to do this, you know, who want to share their voice.
Secret societies don't seem to help our society as a whole, as our civilization as a whole. What do we do when secret societies have existed for thousands and thousands of years? How do we stop that mentality? Because that keeps us from being a sustainable collective civilization that works towards a common goal.
Yeah.
Expose them. You expose them. There's a lot of things. Their symbolism will be their downfall, to be honest. You look at like Skull and Bones, and a lot of these members of Congress and have had at least one president who was a Skull and Bones. And most of the time they have their own symbolism, they have their own gestures. And that can even go for like the Freemasons, who have their own list of different symbols that they have used on a historic level.
Right.
I mean, they've used similar things that they've been using for close to 300, 400 years. And the thing is that we're just so naive of it that once we actually know it, it becomes almost second nature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I mean, look how fast we ever understand pedogate once we are able to understand the code.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pizza,
I hate understanding
pasta.
that. I wish I could go back to being a dumbass about that.
I know, right?
God, that's awful.
But, you know, that's
what
the
they were
whole
saying.
point about... Exactly. You know, and that's the whole point of the idea of basically having them be afraid of walking down the street. Because now they are exposed. I mean, look how badly Hollywood is dealing after now we understand what horrible practices they do.
They're ignoring it. All these pedophile accusations, they're ignoring it, and that shows that they know we know, you know. They're not.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
If you're not a pedo and you get accused of being a pedo by millions of people, okay, you would say, hey, everyone, I'm not a pedo. Here's how. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you would defend yourself. But it's almost a telltale sign, like something's not right. If they're not saying anything about it, you know what I mean? And then there's people like Jim Carrey who go on these mainstream media comedian shows and they make fun of the Illuminati and they make fun of the pedogate accusations and stuff. I'm like, they're doing that because they know it's true.
Did you hear about his most recent show?
What's it called? Yeah.
Kitty?
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. You know what? That's basically you read the synopsis. It's just pedogate.
Okay. What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Kitty. I think it's called Kitty or something like that. And it's on Showtime.
Oh, that makes me think of, let me watch a clip of it. That makes me think of Macaulay Culkin and his bunny ears. Have you seen that?
Well, I mean, he had a show, he had a band called Pizza.
Yeah, Macaulay Culkin had a band, Pizza, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And all their songs are about pizza, and their all their videos had pizzas flying around and hanging from the sky.
And then, I mean, look at all the Hollywood A-listers who were out on Instagram and Twitter the other day because of the most recent holiday. You know, it was called National Cheese Pizza Day.
Huh.
All of them had their pizza in the parlors, and they were just showing their. You know, this is kind of their way of showing what their colors.
Yeah.
In plain sight.
Right.
You know?
Because they want us to accept that belief system as part of a mainstream normal society because it makes it easier to traffic children and sell their organs to, through multinational corporations because that's where the money's at, is organ trafficking. Anybody should know that.
Exactly.
You know what I think I'm gonna do a video of my, you know, those videos where they're like reaction videos to things, like they'll watch a video and record their reaction. I think I'm gonna record my reaction to the kidding Jim Carrey trailer because it looks really, really creepy.
I mean, like going to that organ trafficking. I don't know if I really should start that. I was going to talk about organ trafficking for a second, but I don't know that's going to be too much of a.
So real quick, I'm starting that YouTube channel called Voices of Dissent, and I have my first like notes and stuff for the video. I'm going to do like a little slideshow and like talk about certain things and little pinpoints. And so I'm going to do that tonight. So I need to cut this a wrap here. I appreciate both of you guys with me.
Yeah, this has been a great conversation, you know.
I think people are going to like it. I'm ready to upload it and put it on YouTube, and then I'll put it on Facebook too.
All right. Sounds good.
And hey, next week, maybe you guys want to be on the show?
Yeah, we can do it every week now because I'm done with that research project. So now I'm just down to a couple jobs, you know. I'm teaching English mainly. That's my main thing now. And I'm just working at Costco like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So what days do you think would be a good day to, you know,
just
plan it?
On your off days, just hit me up.
Okay.
I get migraines really bad, so I can't really tell you what day is going to be good because like my migraines, they come, you know, Alex knows, like sometimes I have them for days and then I'm just useless and
You know what helps that, don't you, Sarah? You know what gets rid of those, don't you?
What?
Turmeric. I'm telling you, turmeric.
Oh yes, turmeric is really good for it.
Yeah.
Very good. It helps with increase your blood flow into that area so that you don't get the migraine.
So how do you take it? Like, do you?
Anyway,
well,
you can
I
put
sell
a small.
I sell it, so I take the liquid, but you can buy it at Costco. You can buy it really, you know.
Well, if you sell it, I'll get some from you, and then I'll pay you if you can ship it to me and show me how and tell me how you use it.
Well, I just drink it, but you can buy pills at Walmart even.
Oh, really? And it's good quality just at Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the migraines have been just killer.
The people of India have used it for thousands of years. It keeps inflammation out of the body, and it works very well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. I will try that. Thank you.
I've used it for sciatica, and it works wonders.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I cannot wait to see both of y'all in October.
Yeah.
Just fly by.
I'm still kind of panicking at this moment.
Why?
I've never flown in a plane by myself, let alone do the airport by myself.
Well, hey, you know, first time for anything. You are you are a revolutionary. Nothing can stop you. You are inspiring. You are bold, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, I know. It's just first time jitters at all.
Yeah. That's understandable. I would love to be on a plane. I've never been on a plane, and we can't. We don't have money for traveling right now. So,
well, know that you are always welcome in Jersey, and I will teach you, and I will show you the safe places. If you think corruption is bad in DC,
gotta stay off of.
Well, like I said, Northeast is a corrupt hellhole, if you will.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I used to live in West Virginia.
You need to come and move up here, Alex. Yeah. You're going to love it up here. You're going to come up here and not want to come back home.
Well, I'm making plans already to possibly do that.
Really?
And I might. I mean, I'm getting sick and tired of all the... What?
You said you had family here, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's just I'm getting sick and tired of being taxed left and right now.
Yeah,
we don't have an income tax. We don't have an income tax, so...
There's tax on
a gas tax and everything.
We do have a gas tax.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, is it as bad as it was right now? We're at like 50 cents per gallon right now.
I think it's it's pretty high, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that I won't have is not have full service gas. Go figure.
Yeah, but this is like, if you move to like Pullman or a city like mine, there's buses everywhere, and it's a huge walking community. So there's, most of the community does not even have cars.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Oh, I will experience it when it happens.
Yeah. All right. I will talk to you guys later.
Okay, Sarah. It was nice talking to you, and let's do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again in a few days. I'll message both of y'all probably tonight.
Okay. And
it was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, pleasure meeting you too, Alex. Have a good day, guys.
Bye. Talk to you guys later.